name is Jessica, and I own J. Marie Skin Studio up in Longmont, Colorado. I have 2 medical spas that include everything from, facial and spa components all the way up to the medical aesthetics like laser and injectables, along with an IV nutrition and infusion bar. I have been in the medical spa industry now for about 16 years. I originally got started in the medical field. I started off as a CNA and an MA of a busy medical practice, and then became a certified injector and ultimately an esthetician when I decided to branch away from that and open up my own practice. I have ran medical spas for almost 2 decades, and am really excited about where the industry is going. So before you start any business, not just a med spa, you want to make sure that one, you have a solid business plan, because so often I see so many estheticians and practitioners jump the gun by opening up their business prematurely. They often rely on their family and friends to support their business, and that's not always the case. It's a really great idea, but it's not truly how business works. You really need to have a solid business plan and very clear outcomes as to what you want your business to look like. You also need to make sure that you find out what you want to specialize in and not be kind of a Jill or jack of all trades. Your business plan helps keep you on target. It helps you make sure that you are hitting those goals. And it's also a really great idea to share that business plan with people like your investors, your business coaches, your real estate agents, your team. So that way they help keep you on track, and they have a very clear vision and understanding as to what your goals are and how you want your business to function and run, and ultimately, keep you on target and be successful. I think it's really important that before you open up a medical spa specifically, that you make sure that you adhere to all of the state, city, and county regulations and rules. You want to also make sure that your licensure is up to date and make sure that it's current. You want to look at your business plan and make sure that the services that you want to specialize in and offer to your client base, that you are trained and qualified and certified to be able to offer those services. If not, you can always hire and outsource those services, but you want to make sure that your team is adequately qualified. In this state, it's really important, in any state, it's really important to make sure that your trainings and certificates are recognized by the state. I know where I'm at here in Colorado, we need to have a DPOS certified course. So oftentimes people will go to a lot of trainings and vendor trainings, and there's a lot of valuable information there, but getting that certificate from your vendor is not the same as getting a certificate from a state approved course. So there's, plenty of programs out there. Make sure that they are approved by your state and recognized by your state. It's also really important to get with your accountant, get with your CPA, and talk about how you should form your business. Is it more beneficial to have an LLC versus an S Corp or a C Corp? Those in the long run are really going to help you keep as much money in your pocket as possible. When you are running a medical aesthetic spa, it differs from a spa environment because you have to adhere by different regulations. They treat you just like a medical facility, so you have to adhere by the HIPAA regulations, OSHA practices, and do things a little bit differently. So make sure you're aware of what those things are, and make sure that you have people on your team who can help you remain compliant and keep up on the rules and the changes as they're ever changing. I think it's also important to make sure that you have a Mac Daddy insurance policy. Not a cheap one, you need a good one. The liability is a lot greater with a medical spa versus a spa. In spa treatment rooms and in spa services, it's really a little bit easier to help if your client has maybe a reaction to a product or maybe a facial service that you gave. But when you're doing things like injections and stem cell therapy and platelet-rich plasma and things like that, you really have to look at the liability. One, if I was to do a facial filler on someone and maybe I caused some vascular occlusion or compromise, you know, that's a bigger liability than, say, someone who has a little redness after a facial treatment. So you want to make sure you have an insurance company that, you know, is good, that have been in the industry for a long time, that are very aware of your practices and what goes on in the treatment room. They're aware of the products that you're using, medical grade versus, you know, something more natural, and someone that you can grow with in the industry, someone who covers you for multi-modalities, so that way as you grow and you add services to your practice, they can support you through that growth. Most MDs or medical directors will require that they be named as an additional insured on your medical malpractice policy. So medical malpractice is absolutely necessary versus just a liability type of insurance. You also need general liability insurance, and most of your landlords will want you to name them as an additional insured on your general liability. And then, you know, business and personal property insurance is also really, you know, great. There are several industry experts that I found helpful in growing my medical spa, and for personal growth and development as well as a business owner. I really like Tony Robbins. He's an excellent business coach. And I feel that his idea of not reinventing the wheel, you know, find someone who is doing what you want to do really well, who's already successful in business and has reached success, and imitate what they're doing. Mimic that and find ways to make it better. I think that's really important. There is no need to start from ground zero. There's a lot of great practitioners out there that are, you know, really killing the game in the med spa world. So study them, study their path, you know, find out what they're doing and do what they do. Okay. I also feel like if you are on social media and you see a practice with a lot of great, you know, before and after photos, go in for a service, call them, find out what they're doing. Go pay full price for a service. Ask a lot of questions. It's also important to, you know, read books or listen to books on tape. I found that Jocko Willink is really nice. He has some great books. Extreme Ownership is one of my favorites. It really teaches you how to be a good leader and how to lead by example and to get down and dirty with your team. I like Shonda Rhimes' Year of Yes is one of my favorites because it kind of pushes you to say yes to the things that normally frighten you or things that intimidate you. So kind of that go for it mentality. Some other greats are podcasts like Medspa Accelerator. That's really helpful. I watch a ton of YouTube videos on injectables and, you know, just product knowledge and things like that. Dr. Yanni has some great injectable tutorials. He will try a lot of different products and then give you his best medical advice on, you know, the products that he's using during different injection treatments. So there's a lot of great information out there, but you really do have to, you know, find ways to incorporate all of those things into your daily routine. Most often in the morning, I'm, you know, getting ready for work and listening to a podcast. So there's not a lot of wasted time, but use those resources and reach out to those people. They're really, I find that they've really been helpful in helping me grow my business, and they want to see you grow and be successful. When deciding what services are going to make your menu, that part really goes on when you're developing your business plan. So make sure that the services that you offer align with your business goals. It's also really important to make sure that you have a team that specializes in these services. For instance, when I wanted to bring on laser, I was not laser certified, so I had to go out and find a person who was really, really good at that. You want to make sure that you attract really great talent, both with doctors and also with wellness practitioners and estheticians and RNs and laser techs, whoever that you bring on. You want to attract really great talent and make sure that they specialize in that field. It's, really hard to not fall down the rabbit hole of, I'm going to add this to my menu because it might bring in this amount of money or this particular client. That can get really dangerous. I say that you want to make sure that you're not a Jack or a Jill of all trades and a master at none, that you find your specialty and you find your niche and you stick with that. And if that's not your jam, then maybe you hire talent that specializes in the areas that you're not good at. You can't do everything, so attract really good talent. The services that you offer might also depend on the space that you have. So get with your development manager and make sure that if you're going to offer something like, say, permanent makeup, that they know that you have to have a sink in the room. So your offerings may be based also on your space, because you ultimately have to make sure that you're adhering to all the rules and the regulations for offering said service. I think it's also really important to make sure that if you are offering multiple modalities, that you make sure that you have an environment that respects your client's privacy and is really feasible. For instance, I do a lot of areola pigmentation in my practice. I want to make sure that I can help that client all the way from beginning to end. So if that particular client, say, maybe has experienced a loss of her eyelashes or maybe her brows, or maybe would like to have some laser for scar revision, that as I'm moving this client from room to room or practitioner to practitioner, I can do it in a way that makes her feel really comfortable. She has a comfortable gown. She is able to move through my practice with ease and, with privacy. Because oftentimes, you can be the best areola pigmentation specialist out there. If your client does not feel comfortable or if she doesn't feel like her privacy is being maintained, then she may opt to go to a person who is less experienced in order to maintain her privacy. So, it's super important that you look at your environment and make sure that it's a really comfortable and safe and welcoming and private way for you to be able to properly take care of your clients. So finding your target market does not mean that you exclude anybody who doesn't fit your criteria. At the end of the day, we want to do good business and we want to make money. What it means is that you focus your advertising dollars and your brand message to attract those people who really need your service, and who value your service and want to spend money on that. It's just a more effective and efficient way to generate revenue. That whole mentality of my target market is anybody who will buy my products is not really a great business plan. So how do we find our target market? There's a lot of different ways to do that. Okay, first off, you want to make sure that you look at your current client base. If you've already been in the spa world and now you're transitioning to a medical spa, look at your client base. Find out who they are. What do they do? Why do they spend money at your facility? That's a really good place to start. Ask them questions. I find that my clientele is happy to see me grow my business. So ask a lot of questions. Look at the demographics of the people around you. So, and the people that you want to attract. How much money do they make? What is their median income? What is their education level? What is their marital status? You can look at psychodemographics, what are their values? What do they want to spend money on? Things like that. All of that information is going to help you decide who your target market is. So how do you determine what products to bring into your practice? For me, that's really easy. You want to first look at your client base and see what is important to them. So if they like to go more natural, you might want to carry a really great botanical line. If they are results driven, you might want to carry a big gun, like a medical grade skincare line. I think it's really important to have a variety of different lines on your shelf, not just medical grade skincare, but also professional grade, botanical, natural. In Colorado, we're moving a lot of CBD skincare products. That's really great because it can help you address some of the inflammatory issues systemically that might be affecting the skin, like acne. Single ingredient skincare is wonderful as well, because for your younger clientele who don't always need a big gun or a heavy duty product, that's really great because they can just get into the routine of masking and giving their skin some really good nutrients. I know that for myself and my staff, we don't bring in any products that we first don't try on our skin. Second, that we don't know the ingredients. So we research a lot of ingredients. We need to know exactly how they work and how they affect the skin. And also, it's important that I have a clean product, something that's paraben free and sulfate free, something that's not tested on animals. And that's not always important to everybody, but for me in my practice, it's important, and for my clients it's important. So look at your client base, see what's really important to them, and then build your product line around that. In terms of retail sales goals, I think it's really important to make sure that you have an incentive-based program in your practice. I feel that motivates and also reminds your estheticians or your RNs to offer those products to your clients. A lot of research shows that 70% of clients who leave your spa after a facial will go to other department stores and purchase skincare products. So you're really doing them a disservice by not selling products to them. So get comfortable with selling, get familiar with your products and ingredients and how they work, because I think that ultimately if you can educate your client, you don't come off as salesy and pushy. My operating hours, we go 7 days a week and we're open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. I think the best way to find out what works for you is look at your client base. They will tell you what's convenient for them and not. If I find that I'm losing a little bit of clients because they don't get off of work until 5 or 6 o'clock, it might be important to have those late evening appointments. It's also really important to make sure that you don't burn out your team or your staff. I know that initially when I first started my business, I was working round the clock 24/7 and nobody could tell me to scale back. And that's okay short term, but long term, you're gonna really burn out that way. So make sure that you have your staff maybe on a rotating schedule where you guys can share evenings and weekends. I think it's important to make sure that you're also taking care of your team and supporting what their values are, getting them home for dinner if that's important to them, and take turns kind of sharing the weekend hours. So when creating a team and deciding whether someone is going to be a contractor or an employee, it's really important to first get with your CPA and find out what the rules and the regulations are, because tax law is very different from state law. So it's important to know the difference. For instance, if I have a contractor who clocks in and out, they're now an employee. So you want to know those rules and you want to know the variances there. Essentially, I have both. I feel that contractors and performance-based incentive programs and compensation models are really great for my practice because they keep my contractors motivated to go out and get new clients, to go out and network and build their clientele. I also feel that there's a great need for employees in a practice because you have people like your reception staff that maybe just are there and they clock in and they clock out and they help you with the day-to-day operations of your business. So I have both, and most offices that I am aware of, they have both. And it's okay, but it's also important to make sure that you are adhering to your state and your federal requirements in terms of hiring employees and contractors and what makes one an employee versus a contractor. So when I first opened up my medical spa, I was prepared for all the challenges that came along with that. I knew that it would be difficult. I knew that it would require hard work and sacrifice. And both myself and my family, we were all on board for that. So that wasn't surprising or challenging. It was exhausting and it was tiring. So I think the biggest challenge for me is probably finding work-life balance, because when you're really excited about your business, you give it your all, and ultimately, especially if you have families and even friends, they do pay the price, because they don't get to spend as much time with you. And as supportive as they are, that part is really important. So finding some work and life balance. I think it's also really important to make sure that, friendly competition is great, but discrediting another business, it just doesn't show you in good light, and there's really no reason to do that for financial gain. I think that there's plenty of business to go around, and if we're all doing great work, then guess what? It's going to speak well for our industry, and you're going to attract clients. So always operate with integrity and treat people the way you want to be treated. I think that when you are looking at adding new equipment or different modalities to your med spa, I think it's important to, one, make sure that you have the funding to do so and the capital to do so. I oftentimes see so many spas that are struggling bring on new equipment or services in order to attract clients and generate revenue, and that concept just doesn't work. So I would make sure that, one, you have the funding, and two, you want to make sure that your staff is adequately trained and certified. You want to also make sure that your medical malpractice will cover you for said service, okay? And then three, you always want to have a good conversation with your medical director to make sure that he understands the service and gives you the thumbs up on what to bring into your practice. It's not enough to just say, oh, I have a hairy client base and therefore I want to bring on laser hair removal. You really do need to go back to your basics, and you need to do your market research. You have to look at your existing client base and say, hey, what are their needs? How am I going to go ahead and bring in modalities or equipment to address those needs? Can they afford this service? And is there a need for it? So you just go back to the basics with every new service that you're bringing in, and make sure that there is a need for it in your market and within your current client base. How do you find the best medical director? Well, first you want to get with your state boards, and you want to look at their licensure. You want to look at what complaints they have had in the past, if any, and you also want to look at any dings that might be on their medical license. I think it's also really important to interview them. You're essentially interviewing them for the most important position in your office. So interview them, stalk them on social media, find out their lifestyle, what they like, what their values are. Those things are all really, really important, because if I have a medical director who is out of town every other week, how are they going to be able to assist me in an emergency? If I have a medical director who maybe is not in practice, then how are they going to be able to train and help me through maybe some of the newer technologies or newer procedures? So for me, I want to make sure that my medical director is in practice. I want to make sure that their value system aligns with mine. I want to make sure that their work ethic aligns with mine. And essentially, your medical director is your most important part of your team. So when you're negotiating fees for medical direction, it's really important to know that most of them have set fees. So it's anywhere from $250 to $1,000 per modality and per practitioner. And that's pretty standard for the industry. There might be a little bit of a variance, but I think the most important part is to understand that these medical directors are putting their license on the line for you every single time that you see a client. So take really good care of your medical directors and don't nickel and dime them. They're the most important part of your team. So the role of your medical director is not only to allow you to use their license to order products, but it's also to make sure that you keep your practice safe and you keep your patients safe and that you are practicing in your scope of practice, okay? So having a medical director does not give you a license to do whatever you want, okay? It's really important that you still adhere to your scope of practice. So a medical director will allow you to use their medical license to order medical devices, also injectables like Botox and fillers, medical grade products, and do some things like more aggressive microneedling or maybe double exfoliation that you can't do as an esthetician in a spa without a medical director. Okay, so it allows you to do that. Medical directors are great because they also provide training opportunities for you. They have quarterly meetings, so gives you some really good networking and referral opportunities. They are really great for helping get you the education that you need to bring in new services and modalities to your practice, and also educate you by bringing in vendors to share different and new and up-and-coming technologies with you. They also do over-the-shoulder work, so they make sure that your technique is good, so that way you can keep your patients safe and also protect you in terms of liability. They come in once a week and they sign off on your charts, so they also get an opportunity to make sure that you're collecting adequate consents for your clients and that you are adhering by like HIPAA regulations and OSHA practices and things like that. And they're also available to consult with your clients as needed and prescribe medication. Sometimes you might need a prescription before you do a procedure or maybe after a procedure, and that's really helpful. They can also be a really good avenue to help generate additional income in your practice. Perhaps your medical director comes in and maybe offers a weight loss program, which is way outside of our scope of practice, but if you have them in your facility, then you have an MD behind that program, and that's really beneficial. So again, I'll reiterate and say it over and over and over, your medical director is the most important part of your team. So a new esthetician will build their practice and their credibility essentially by doing their best work, right? And give everybody 110%. I like to, first make sure that I'm networking. I get involved in the community. I get involved with the Chamber of Commerce. I get involved with, the business after hours and business, before hours events. So definitely make sure that you are being seen and heard in your community. In terms of building your client base and maintaining credibility, you want to make sure that you are giving every single person that walks into your practice 110%. Give them your all the time, and treat each person as if they are going to walk out that door and just go right online to Google and every social media platform and tell people about their experience. So in terms of marketing your medical spa, I think it's really important to make sure that you look at your client base and you look at your target market and their demographics. So for myself, social media is a really great avenue because I have a younger clientele, and they also want to see a lot of before and after photos. They really like keeping up with the trendy procedures that are out there, like the vampire facials and the rubber masks, and now the aqua gold facial, those things. So find out what works best for your patient demographic. There's a lot of things like print ads that might appeal to more of an older demographic if, you know, that's your target market. So find out what works for you and your client base. It's absolutely okay to offer out specials to your clients. How I run my specials might be a little bit different. I tend to run my specials based on my staff and who has a full schedule and who does not. So if I need someone that I need to slam their books, I might want to go ahead and run a promotion. If I have a new product or a new service that I want to create a buzz about, I might want to go ahead and run a special or promotion. If I have a product that maybe does not have a long shelf life, or maybe I want to blow off because I'm phasing out, I might want to go ahead and run a promotion. So specials are okay, but I think it's also important to make sure that you're not overdoing it, because then you get into that area where you're offering a lot of discounts, and then people may not see the value in their service. So in terms of discounting, that's a little bit different than putting out a promotion or a special, okay? Discounting to me, I hate it. I'll be honest with you. I just don't like it. To me, it cheapens your practice. I feel like what we do is very specialized. I feel that if you have clients who are not willing to pay full price, most often that client is telling you that they don't believe in you, that they don't trust that your recommendation is going to work for them. The clients that I see, they're happy to pay full price. So discounting really cheapens your practice. I have known a lot of practitioners who have built their spas on Groupon, and not slamming them because they work really hard to do so. But I also think that things like that have killed our industry. I feel that it devalues our service and our worth. And most often when you're doing those deep Groupon discounts, I find that you get a lot of clients who are just chasing a bargain, okay? So they're not your repeat customers in most cases, and they are not your target market, right? I always am leery when I see something on Botox, on Groupon, or these, you know, big discount programs. I wonder, one, why is your spa not busy? Do you have a newer injector? Are you not experienced? So those things to me as a consumer would raise a red flag. So I put myself in my consumer's shoes and you know, ask those questions, right? I also don't like trades. You know, if you want to trade with me, let's trade dollars, right? I think that's a really good way to run a solid business. So when you are determining your location, I think it's important to know that the spa industry is a little bit different from the medical spa industry in the sense that spas are more located in destination hotspots or maybe trendy or hip neighborhoods versus a medical spa. It's just equivalent to like a doctor's office. And I will tell you that people will travel from all over the state to see a good injector or a good medical spa. I know that for myself, I have people flying in from all over the country to come and see me. So, you know, location with a medical spa is a little bit less relevant than if you were just running a typical spa. I do think that it's important that you know that you have to be aware of the zoning requirements because the area that you're in has to specifically be zoned for medical. Most often you can find that out by just looking at what practices and are there medical facilities around you. That's an easy way to determine, but also go to the proper outlets to find that out for certain. And that's where, you know, bringing in a real estate agent and an industry expert is really helpful. Real estate agents, you know, they're great because they know, you know, the area and they know the community and they know the people that are around that area, but industry experts can help you one step further, because they are going to say, hey, is this location going to attract our target market? Is this building a place that I can do my work in? Can I, this room, does it have a sink so we can do this procedure? So I think that, getting those two people to marry is going to ultimately help you find the best location. So when you are first starting out, I think that, although having a custom built space is nice, it's not necessary. You need to make sure that the space that you have is functional, and that it's up to code, and you're able to offer the services that are on your menu in a way that, is allowed per your state or per your county. So there's a lot of options when you're opening up your medical spa. You can either purchase your own facility, you can lease, or you can booth rent. You can share space or go into a collective. So definitely be open-minded to that, and cater to your clients and what might suit them best. For leases, I find that it works just the way as it would if you were leasing an apartment. Typically, you're going to pay a security deposit and a first and last month's rent. And the difference is that for commercial leases, they typically want a longer lease period, somewhere between like 3 and 5 years. With booth rents, they can be great for someone who's not really wanting to make a big commitment. Booth renting can be flexible. It can be used as on an ad-needed basis. For myself, I don't really like that model for my clientele. I feel that they want a place where we are consistent and we have a consistent staff, and they know that we're going to be available all the time, rather than just when we have a chair or table to use. And in terms of my staff and my culture in my workplace, I want people to come and stay a while. I want to get to know them. So there's a lot of options, and booth rent may be for you, and it may not. When determining your location, I think it's really important to make sure that you dig a little bit deeper, especially if you're in a community where maybe there's more homes than businesses. What is the culture there? Sometimes you need to run your business by not only the state boards and the county and the city and so on, but also there's housing associations. There is business associations that also have a say in how you run your business and what services you bring on. So I would make sure that you just dig a little bit deeper and learn the culture of the community that you're in. So each county and city has different requirements than the state. So I think it's really important to make sure that you do your due diligence and you get with the county to make sure that you are properly permitted and licensed to be able to offer all the services that are on your menu. You don't ever want to be caught without a permit. When determining a good location for your business, I think it's also really important to make sure that you have some really good visibility, whether it be foot or car traffic, and some adequate signage. For myself in my practice, I have a huge sign, and it's right off of the busy highway. And I think that's really important because I've already had so many people text and say, hey, I saw your sign. And they may not know what you do, but they see your sign and they're going to go online and they're going to Google your practice and they're going to look for you on social media. So visibility is really important. You want to also make sure that your clients, that there's an ease of them getting to your practice. Make sure there's adequate parking. If you have a clientele in maybe a neighborhood where a lot of people walk or bike, make sure that there's a bike rack. You can call the city and get those put in your place for free. So make sure that it's easy for your clients to get to you, and parking is huge. There are a lot of resources out there to help you get started with your business. There are plenty of small business loans that are available. If you have a good relationship with your banker, and I definitely encourage that, go sit down and talk with them and find out what your options are. Typically for business loans, they require higher credit scores and they have higher interest rates. So make sure that you're, getting with your CPA and finding out what best suits your business needs. Look at the cost of the loan, not just the dollar value, but also what it costs in terms of interest. There's companies like Square. You know, if you sign up with them, they have some capital loans that they can give you to help you along the way. There are several grants that you can apply for small businesses, for women-owned businesses, for minority-owned businesses. So definitely get online and get with a grant writer because they have a lot of really good options for you, and they're aware of a lot of programs out there that you might not be. Get with your investors, show them your business plan, and be mindful that most investors they want a return on your business, so or a return on their investment, I should say. So make sure that your investors that their goals and their moral compass align with yours, and also make sure that they have a strong desire and motivation to help see your business succeed. But also be mindful of some of those investors that want to do a profit sharing model, because then you're always giving up, you know, a percentage of your profit. That may work for you and it may not. So find the best avenue for you and go with that. When determining what methods are best to pay your staff, you know, there's a lot of different options out there. You can do QuickBooks, you can do Square. I do both. I've also used companies in the past like ADP. You can use different accounting software like Quicken. For me, my accountant runs my payroll, and they get all the information out of Square and QuickBooks, and that's really helpful because they do all of my quarterly reporting. And whether you write them a check or you deposit it directly into their account, I think it's really important to make sure that your staff gets paid on time and that you deliver their payment in a way that's easiest for them. Most often, you know, especially if you're just starting out a new practice, it's not a big hassle to write a check versus do direct deposit. So take care of your team, and ultimately they're going to take care of you. So there are several different programs out there that allow you to schedule your clients and receive payments online. Those for me are the best options out there because I don't have to have a lot of staff and then overhead in order to do that. So I think that Square has a really great program. It's easy to use, although there is some restrictions. I think the ease of use is really nice. My clients can go online anytime they want to, and they can schedule a visit, and then we can check them out, and my funds are deposited within 24 hours. So that is really, really nice. The fee with Square is a flat rate fee, so you don't have to maybe not take American Express because the fees are higher typically, or not take a certain type of payment because of the fee variance, or charge an extra fee to your client because there's going to be a variable. So I think that it's, you know, really nice to have a flat rate, but also be aware that, you know, a lot of those companies will negotiate your rates based on, you know, your volume. So definitely get with them and negotiate rates. Just because they say it's 2.75% or whatever it may be, doesn't mean you can't get a better rate, especially if you're doing high volume. So again, my name is Jessica. I'm with J. Marie Skin Studio up in Longmont, Colorado. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the information and receive the information. I am always happy to help anybody that I can. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you for taking the time.